I put the spotlight on your city. I put the spotlight on your city. See the superstar. Hollywood to Hollywood. Girl, you look good. Yeah, they hollering, baby. I keep modeling, baby. ATLD. I put the spotlight on your city. Carolina, Philly. I put the spotlight on your city. I put the spotlight on your city.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live once again, Spotlight Over the Sea. I'm your host, Stan Long, along with the lovely super host, Dana Dane.
Hey.
And guess who else? We found Miss Lyric Hawkins as well. Welcome back to the show, Lyric.
What's going on, gang?
What's going on, babe?
I miss y'all.
You don't miss nobody.
You been in California.
Okay, so how
Jet
you miss
set.
us, but you always running around and don't let us go on none of the trips you take. You all in
Exactly.
Cali and this and that, what?
Well, you know.
Yeah, I called her. She was like, I said, so are you going to be here our first day at the new studio? She said, oh, I'm in California. I said, excuse me.
I was
Okay.
on the
Right.
beach.
Laguna
but,
Beach.
Rock star.
Laguna Beach.
I
But,
saw the water almost drenched that ass, too.
oh my God, I had to run on camera on Facebook Live.
I
I'm
missed
about
that.
to get washed away, Dana,
Yeah,
and I
it was
can't
funny.
swim. So, yeah,
So
but
tell
I'm
us about
loving this.
Laguna Beach. What's going on in Laguna Beach that
I'm
we
loving
missed out
this.
on?
Well, actually, I went to a training because, you know, I have a media and personal brand development company, and I'm a firm believer in mastering your craft.
That's right.
Because there's so many people out here that help others, say they're a coach and they train, but they haven't took any classes. So how you going to teach somebody and you haven't mastered, you know, what you do?
That's right.
So I'm a firm believer in educating yourself. So I was just out there getting some more knowledge.
That's
So
right.
you
We
so
never
on your
stop
craft, you
learning.
go all the way to California to get some classes. I like that.
Well, only the best, right? Because I
That's
got to
right.
deliver the best. I can't give you halfway. So,
That's right.
you know. I
What's
gotta
up,
do what
Dana?
I gotta do.
Go big or go home. That's what I always say.
Yeah,
What's
up,
going on,
Dana?
miss? What you got going on?
Everything.
Besides running around the city
Everything.
going crazy.
Dana got everything.
Yeah, this girl right here, every time I look, it's something going on. Oh, we got this going on. Hey, Stan, I got this going on. I said, so how you going to do all this?
I manage. I don't know how I do it. Through the grace of God, He gives me energy that I know it
Whatever
can
juice
only
you
come from
got,
God.
I want that juice.
Yeah, it can only come from God. And I'm so serious, y'all. It has to be God because last year, even when I was sick, I went from a size 7 to a size 1. So that shows how small I got when I was sick. Do you know the entire time I was sick, I did not stop working. I would still get dressed, do my makeup, go
Oh,
out,
yeah.
host events. God has given me some energy that I can't even explain, but all I can do is say, thank you, Lord.
Is he not
Thank
amazing?
you.
I promise
Amazing,
you.
really.
What
It
about you,
really
Mr.
is.
S. Long?
Mr. S. Long on his grind as usual, running around like crazy.
I was
trying
going
to
to tell
put
us
stuff
what's
together.
going on.
I got something I'm gonna reveal to y'all that nobody in the building knows.
Oh.
Tell
But
us,
before
tell
I
us.
reveal that, I
Yeah,
want
I
to
wanna
shout out
know.
to Mark Nichols, our guest today. We have an
Yes.
amazing guest coming up. Author Mark Nichols has an amazing book out. You're looking at it right now. The Nichols Brothers, Suburbia to Destruction. Right?
It's going to be an awesome
It's going to be an amazing interview. Before we even get into the interview, I want to put this disclaimer out there because I got a lot of flack. I'm going to do it anyway because I had a purpose for this show. But I got a lot of flack for the show because a lot of people was like, well, why would you have that person on and blah, 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 and his brother did this and that and the third. Well, we're not here to glorify anything that's a heinous crime. So before I get into the show, I want to let people know that that's not the reason for the show or the book. He didn't write the book to glorify the crime
Right.
of his brother, and he definitely not on the show to glorify anything. So we do send our condolences once again to all the fallen officers and everybody else who lost their life in this situation.
That's right.
So before we get into it, I had to clear that up because I got a lot of whats and whys and whos. And so Spotlight Over the City does what they do. We spotlight it anyway because that's what we do. So
Right,
back to
and
this regular
sometimes
schedule
people just
program.
need to know what the media
real.
might not tell you
Exactly.
or what
Exactly.
you heard. So let's hear from the horse's mouth, somebody who was right there that can tell you the real.
Right. So like for the Clown of the Day award.
Exactly.
I feel the Clown of the Day award goes to this dude, the president of Bethune-Cookman. You an idiot. And the reason I'm saying that is because why would you have this goofball come on as a keynote speaker knowing that the whole university was booing her before she got there? And then you turn around and say, well, if y'all keep booing, you going to mail your diplomas. Well, you would have mailed my diploma because I promise you, I would have booed your ass. As soon as you said that, booed you too. Boo, President of Bethune-Cookman, because you should have people that come in there that have the community in mind and not just have your politics in mind. You had to start. And so this is what we're going to be doing on Spotlight of the City. We're going to undress you.
Yeah.
So just
We're
understand
going to be
that.
honest. We're going to speak from the heart. We're not going to say what we think the people want to hear. We're going to say what we feel is going on, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and people are entitled to not agree. That's life.
That's exactly right.
but
So
not
save your
only
hate mail
that-
because I don't read it.
I mean, everybody out here has family, extended family. We can't be held accountable for everything my third cousin did, my fifth cousin down the line. Like, that's not my
Exactly
story.
right.
But I can give you the real because I was there.
Right, exactly.
And that's where the difference is.
And then the assumptions are all out the door.
You know, because look, if it was Jeffrey Dahmer or some other, they have documentaries, all types of, mainstream
Exactly.
TV.
And
Soon
so,
as
yeah.
we come into the community and try to do something,
It's a big deal.
it's
Yeah,
a big
that's-
deal.
But
But
like
we
you
a
said,
big
we
deal,
gonna do it
though.
anyway.
But we spotlight
deal.
over the
We
city,
spotlight over
so
the
we do
city.
what we want to do. You feel me? And so we don't need no permission.
Yeah, we
so
don't need no
excuse
permission.
me for being bad boys, but we don't need your permission to have a show. And this is what we decided to do.
And
And
that's
so
it.
I think that if you stay tuned, some of the questions that come about will show you that this show had a purpose. It's
Yeah.
just not a show that
Yeah.
we did just because. So on that note, you guys, it's time for a segment of Did You Know? And I do have something that I thought was amusing before we go on, but I got to switch
Okay.
my glasses because, these not really reading glasses. So let me,
You
let me
know
do,
what?
let me do
Those
this. so I
just
can-
to be cute. I
let
just
me
want
just
to be
right here so I can
cute.
read because I can't see a
Well,
damn
hold
thing.
up.
Okay.
All right, so on to the segment of Did You Know? This is interesting to me because I thought it was funny, actually. Did you know that the Lone Ranger was black?
Who told you that?
It's a black fact. The Lone Ranger, his name is Bass Reeves. And Reeves was born a slave but escaped and was during the Civil War where he lived in what was known as Indian Territory. And before I go on, you should have known this was a black man because he named his horse Tano. I mean, he named his horse Kemosabe. Like, that's not going to be...
So what we see on TV, the Lone Ranger.
So they made
Was
him
it?
white.
Well,
That's what
everything's
you're
been
saying?
whitewashed. A lot of things been whitewashed. For instance, how could Tarzan be white? So
What
he
makes-
swing through the jungle, say, oh.
Well, a white man can't swing through the jungle.
How he
Right.
get in the jungle and know how to talk to the animals? I'm just trying to understand.
Only black people.
Why
could
couldn't he
go.
be white though and do that?
That
I'm
ain't Dr.
confused.
Doolittle.
Are you
understand?
So what you telling me that? So what you trying to tell me is that this man was over in the jungle of Africa, talking to the animals, and he was white.
So what you're telling me is a white man can't go in the jungle and talk to the animals.
Yeah, but he gonna need assistance.
Okay, well maybe he might
He
need
gonna need some assistance to get.
Interpreter.
He can't be from Africa first of all, and in that native land, swinging in the jungle talking to animals. You had to have experience with that. We gonna get into that later though,
I
because we
can't
gonna get back
take
to
it.
Mr.
Let's
Reeves.
go back to the Did You Know?
I'm trying to tell you some facts. Mr. Reeves was born a slave but escaped to the west during the Civil War, where he lived in what was known as Indian Territory. He eventually became a deputy U.S. Marshal and was a master of disguise, an expert marksman, and had a Native American companion. And so he rode on a silver horse. His story was not unique, however. One of 4 cowboys was black, despite the stories told in popular movies and films and books. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So
Now,
that
did
is
you
that
know?
is did
The
you
Lone
know?
Did you
Ranger.
know?
The Lone Ranger was a brother, and I'm not knocking any race. Don't get me wrong.
No, we know
just
that.
because I'm pro-black don't mean I'm not for any other race. I'm just
Right.
for my race as well. So we
Gotcha.
do have an amazing show today, you guys.
Yes,
we have an
yes,
amazing
yes.
guest coming up.
Lone
But
Ranger
before we do
was
that, we're gonna.
black.
That's right. And his
I
name.
learn
and
something
his-
new every week from
I'm
you.
trying-
Keep,
yeah, we
keep
got
it
that-
coming.
and
Stan, you real smart.
Well,
You
no, I
real
got a team. I got a
You
team.
real
I don't be
smart.
knowing what I'm talking about. I got a team. They help me out. I'm just trying to tell you, make me
Real
look good.
smart.
No, but I'm into history. I'm into facts. And I do believe that we have to educate our people, not that everybody else, again, don't need educate. Oh, I can take these off. Hold on. Not that everybody else don't need educating.
But hold up.
Not that they don't
They
need
look the
educating,
same,
but
though,
you
just
do have to
different
educate
color.
our people because we've been miseducated.
Yeah, no, I
And
agree
so
with
we have a big understanding, but we had to overstand. And so this is why I'm here doing this show. I needed a platform to do such a thing. And before I go any further, is God not good though?
all the
Yes, he
time.
is.
When I say amazing, we have a talk show. How about that?
Yes.
And we all over the
Yeah.
place. We in Europe, we wherever. You can Spotlight
We
Over the City
everywhere.
live and we popping, right?
Yeah.
Is that not amazing?
I love our new home. I swear I do.
Man, I love it. Shout out to Listen Vision, man. When I tell you the
That's
studio's
right.
popping,
And
we
our
popping in
wonderful
here.
producer.
We got and shout out to Jacob, our producer. He
That's
keep us
right.
hot too, though. We don't even have to talk to Jacob too much. We just come in and nod, and Jacob be like, "Let's do
He
it."
has to
He's
tell
like,
us. He
"Alright."
has to tell us. Come on, you're talking to me.
Right. Jacob keep us straight. Like we've been
Let's
in here
go.
for years, right? But he frame us in and he get us right every time. We feel
Yep.
comfortable doing the show. It's a pleasure working with you, Jacob.
Smooth sailing.
We thank God for the
Love it.
studio. We get to
Yes.
see what we're doing in here, and it's a good feeling. So thank God for the opportunity, and we're gonna take full advantage of it.
Amen
So-
to that too.
So you guys want to talk about anything else before we pull our guests on? Because we got a full packed show.
Yeah.
Well-
no. Go ahead.
Make sure you like our page too, Spotlight Over the City. Make sure you go to Facebook and like our page, you guys, and be a part
Oh
of
yeah,
Spotlight Over the
definitely
City.
Spotlight Over the City. But actually, I just came from T-Mobile down in Northeast Washington. The rapper Designer,
Okay.
Panda.
Panda. Okay.
How I go? Panda.
Oh, I don't know.
That's close enough.
Dana, you know.
Panda. What is that?
I got bras in Atlanta.
I got
Oh,
bras in
that
Atlanta.
song.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
his
it's
name
called
is
Panda?
Designer. His name.
I'm lost.
How old are you, Dana?
I'm
Dana
24.
White.
24.
Really? You got bras in Atlanta? But no, look.
I'm a great answer. Let me shut
Credit
up.
cards at the scanner. Yeah. Hey, y'all cutting up.
Buddy's gonna be at the 9:30 club tonight. So
Okay.
shout out to the Designer.
And shout out to Antonio down there at T-Mobile too.
Oh yeah, definitely that. So we're gonna be behind the scenes. I'm gonna give y'all a little Facebook Live and bring y'all real time. But that's what we do on
Right.
Spotlight Over the City.
Spotlight Over the City, baby. Thanks for all y'all tuning in too. We definitely appreciate y'all tuning in and watching our show. And the call in, we great. The call in number is 240-621-0077. And after this commercial, you'll be able to call in, and we'll have you plug right in.
Yeah.
So again, thanks to all of the audience for watching us, and we have a wonderful show today. So we'll go to a commercial. We'll let you see a little glimpse of the author that's coming up, and he'll be right after this commercial.
Spotlight Over the City.
Spotlight
Don't
Over the
go
City.
anywhere.
Spotlight.
The Fulton County courthouse killer is opening up to us, Channel 2 Action News, 11 years after that deadly rampage.
Brian Nichols says he has stayed quiet because he didn't want to cause more damage than he already has. It was March 2005 when Nichols escaped from the Fulton County courthouse. That touched off chaos in the streets and a massive manhunt. Nichols killed 4 people, including a judge. He's now breaking his silence in an exclusive interview with Channel 2's investigative reporter Mark Winnie. And Mark joins us now live inside the courthouse. This is where the murderous rampage started. Mark?
That's right. The killings that began in this courtroom, what was then Judge Roland Barnes' courtroom, gripped the nation. And this interview with Brian Nichols offers us the opportunity to look into the mindset of one of the most notorious active shooters in America, the most notorious in Georgia's history.
I don't want to cause any more damage what I have already done, and that's the main reason why I've always remained quiet.
The calls came from the courthouse shooter, Brian Nichols.
I did some very bad things.
His victims in March 2005, Judge Roland Barnes, court reporter Julie Brandow, Deputy Hoyt Teasley, federal agent David Wilhelm.
Doing an interview with you, there will be nothing that I want from that, really, other than to express my remorse for the things that I've done.
To stay inside prison rules, a friend of Nichols, who says she's the only non-family member on his small approved call list, relayed our questions with her phone on speaker on several calls.
Have you sought redemption? Have you asked God for forgiveness?
Have you asked God for forgiveness?
I have. I pray and I ask for forgiveness.
The subject matter, wide-ranging.
Would you ask him, were you too wrapped up in yourself, in your selfish needs, in the time leading up to the killings and during the killings?
I think I was delusional. I think that drugs and alcohol played a part in those delusions. If there is something that someone could take away from this talk, it will be to recognize and understand the harm that marijuana can do.
Was justice done to Brian Nichols?
You know, it doesn't matter. Things are as they are. If I could go back and do things differently, of course I would. I can't play the hand that I wish I was dealt. You know, I have to play the hand that I have.
Now, there is much, much more that we talked to Brian Nichols about. Was there almost a 5th murder victim? more about the role he says marijuana played. And is he sorry for himself or his victims? That and more coming up on Channel 2 Action News at 6.
Now, Mark, of course, we all know interviews like this don't just happen overnight. I mean, it's been 11 years since this happened, but can you give us some insight into how you were able to set up this interview with Brian Nichols?
Yeah, this may be the hardest one to land I've ever landed. It started months ago, negotiating first to try to get a camera into the prison. Corrections officials indicated they had security concerns. Then we went about trying to arrange this phone arrangement. We edited out most of the sound, of course, from the intermediary, but even that, I had to convince Nichols to do the interview.
Yep, and he did. All right, Mark, thank you. More at 6. Mark Winnie live at the Fulton County Courthouse. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Spotlight over the city, and guess what? We added a +1 with our guest today is Mark Nichols. Welcome to the party, Mark.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, he done put
We are
he done
glad.
put a
He
damn
got a very
put the
white
damn
voice
radio. Oh, thank you, glad to be here. What the hell you trying to
Always.
upstage?
No. You know.
His voice sounds better than yours, Stan.
Wait a minute, wait a
I'm a
minute.
DJ. You know, I'm a DJ, so I gotta have the microphone voice.
Okay, before we go any further, do your DJ. Give us one of them quick DJ voices real quick, like we in a club real quick. Break it down.
Come on, y'all, get on up out some chairs and party for me.
He's the second guest with that voice. Who was the other one? Oh, Micheline was the other one with the radio
with
voice.
the radio
yeah.
voice, right?
Oh, wow, that's hot.
Well, I don't have that, so look, don't look for me to give you no Barry White up in here.
You
'cause
can
it's
do
not
it,
happening,
Stan. You
hear
can
me?
do it.
So anyway, welcome back to Spotlight over the City. In all seriousness, we have our guest here, Mark Nichols, who wrote a book. He's an author. You're looking at his book today, you guys, and this I read some of you, Mark. I've been laughing at you for about 2 days. I read the book.
Right.
I didn't finish reading the book, but some of the stories that's in this book we're gonna talk about.
All right.
And I'm starting to believe that it's in the water.
It might be in the water. I
think
really
it
believe that somebody might need to really check their water out.
And the reason I say that is when we get into the book a little bit, you guys will see the story based on the thing he said by being in the water. A lot of people from Mark's neighborhood ended up in some serious situations, crime-wise, murdered, all kind of stuff. And so it came from this one block. And by the way, I have family that grew up on 33rd, right across from Memorial Stadium. So that's part of y'all beef.
Yeah, it is.
You was telling me in the book, y'all was running from 33rd and ducking.
Yeah.
And my cousin lived on 33rd, actually still does to this day. So I'm familiar with the area.
Yeah, we had some problems with them boys up there, but it all worked out in the end. Nobody died,
So let's get into it. Who is Mark Nichols?
Well, I'm a barber, man. I was really don't want to be here because I'd rather have my brother back, and but I had to write this story. But I'm just a barber, man, and decided that I need to tell the story because there's nobody else that can tell it like I can tell it. Ashley Smith, she had her 7 hours with them, and she made a movie and a book and renamed the book after the movie and started selling it again. So I'm giving you 40-something years, 40, 50 years with Brian, 45 years with Brian.
And you are the older brother.
I mean, I am the older brother,
So
yeah.
that was your youngest brother. It didn't look, when I saw him, because of his stature, your brother's a big man. Like he was about 6'1",
6'2", but you wouldn't even think that we were brothers if we were standing next to each other, I'm height challenged. He's,
height challenge.
I'm height challenged. He's bench pressing like 400 pounds, black belt in karate.
Wow. So what made you want to write this book?
Well, I talked to Brian about it, and he said, Ashley's making all this money. Somebody else, our family needs to go ahead and say something. So I decided, to go ahead and do it. It's taken me 7 years, but it's the way it's coming out. It's come out, and the how it's being accepted has been like phenomenal. I really can't believe it. I got people telling me that they've never read a book like this in their life, and I'm like, this is the first time I ever wrote something. So for me to get compliments like that it's just amazing.
Let me ask you a question. Who is Ashley for those watching that don't know?
Ashley Smith is the woman that, it was a movie called Captive that came out, and she was the one that Brian had hostage for 7 hours. And they just did a movie off of the 7 hours that they were together.
Okay, yeah, Captive, the movie Captive.
Right.
Yeah, that's right, because, what's it, Aiello.
David Oyelowo and
Oyelowo.
Kate Marie.
played it. Yeah, that was a big thing. They was on Oprah, the whole cast.
Yeah,
I saw them on
Oprah and Ashley are really good friends.
Really?
Yeah.
After
So
the-
it was
after
on the
the
OWN
situation.
network? It came on the OWN
No,
network?
it came out on Paramount Pictures released the movie.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so
It
it
was
was
a-
a big movie. It was,
Oh,
you know.
Paramount.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: is that movie based off of Ashley's interpretation of what happened?
Yeah, because she couldn't get Brian's. You know, it's just all Ashley's.
Right.
But you know, I can't. Her movie was good.
So
you
was
know.
it true to? Was it kind of
Yeah,
true
true
to
to
the
form.
story? To the
Right.
Yeah, I even learned something because I had kind of went hard on Ashley in my book, and after I saw the movie, I had to go back and rearrange some things that I had said about her. You know,
Wow.
so it was the way the movie comes across. It's a good fit for my book. You know, it leaves you wondering what was going on with Brian before then.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you.
Yes.
She can talk about what happened at that moment, but it had to be events that happened that led to that moment that
Right.
only certain people would know about, and that would have to be the people that were close to him.
Right. You're right.
You being one of them.
Yes, yeah. You know, she claimed that a book that she had read to him, I think it was called Purpose Driven Life, and it went
Yeah,
on
Rick
to
Warren.
sell
Yeah.
millions of copies. She claimed that calmed Brian down, but when I talked to Brian, he said, you know, it didn't do anything for him. That was just for her.
Wow.
Right. So it kind of like calmed her. It like basically God spared her,
Right, right.
which
I-
is a great thing.
Yeah,
by
you know, I
the way.
think Brian was just tired by then. You know, he just wanted. I mean, I can't imagine the rush that was going through his head when you got every police officer in the United States looking for you.
Yeah, because I was in Atlanta at that time, and when I say the city was on lock, we was witnessing the helicopters flying everywhere, and it was all over the news, and they was locking, you know, situations down, road blocking, and doing all. So it was kind of like a tough situation, and we all wondered what made it, because you could find yourself, for a lot of people that's naysayers, you could find yourself in this situation at any given time as a human being if you feel closed in. You could feel, not to say that you could take an action to that degree, but you could find yourself in a bad situation. So what do you think it was that drove Brian to that, you know, situation?
That
What
state of
took
mind.
him over the top, so to
Yeah.
speak, as
I
as
mean,
his brother?
He snapped. He wasn't the same when I talked to him after it happened, he wasn't the same person. He said, you know, I was fighting a war. I'm like, what are you talking about? How are you going to fight a one-man war against them? You know, and he really thought he was fighting a war. You know, so I knew that wasn't the same person. Plus, I had heard that he was deteriorating mentally as he was locked up waiting that year before it happened.
Right.
You know, he was on trial for rape. So I heard he was going down from that point on, and then it was an incident that happened in the jail, in the bullpen, that just took him over the edge.
Real quick, why don't we go to the beginning so that people watching will understand
Exactly.
what happened? Because I think a lot of people watching really don't even understand what happened. Tell the people who your brother was and what event we're talking about.
So on March 11th, 2005, my brother was on trial for rape, allegedly raping his girlfriend of 9 years. And the first trial was a mistrial. And the second trial was on its way to being a mistrial because both of them got caught in lies. And before that second trial ended, Brian snapped and he killed the judge, the court reporter, a sheriff that I cut his head once or twice at the Underground in Atlanta. And later on that evening, he killed a customs agent at his house. And he was out for 27 hours, and when he took Ashley Smith hostage and he let her go, that's when he decided to give up, which I didn't think he was going to give up like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you all, your family, were you all in touch with him at that moment, at the time that he had Ashley?
No, you know, I was watching it on TV like everybody else, hoping, you know, I'm thinking, man, this is probably going to be the day that my brother dies, you know,
Right.
but he didn't. He gave up, which really shocked me because I thought he was going to put his guns out the window and just start shooting. But, you know, he gave up, and I'm glad he did because he's here for his kids now, you know. He got to meet his son for the first time. His son was born 3 days before the event happened. So he had never got to meet his son. But this past summer, he got to meet his son for the first time, and that was a good thing. And they had a great meeting.
Right. Mark, let me ask you this. It's 2005, right?
Right.
Okay, you're going about your day. You doing your everyday thing. It's 2005, and you happen to just see it like everybody else. What goes through your mind when you look and you say, "Oh, wait a minute, time out. I know that person." What's that thought that you and your family had? Because we all see stuff on the news and we don't know them. So it's like, oh man, another this or another that. But the moment you said, "Oh, wait 1 minute, I know this person."
Well, actually, I knew who it was before they even said his name.
Oh, wow.
Because I was living in Florida then, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was cutting in a hood shop. It was on Sistrunk Avenue. And when I go in the morning, I would normally just cut the news on, you know, because your clients come in, they want to talk about different things that's going on. So when I cut the news on that morning, I had seen that there was a shooting at the courthouse. I'm like, okay, continue to watch. And then later on, they said the person that did the shooting was a rape suspect. And I said, you know, that's my brother. So I made a phone call to one of his friends in Atlanta, and he told me, yeah, the FBI just left and they put a flash grenade in here and messed up my wooden floor. And I cussed him out. I mean, I don't care about your floor. I'm trying to find out what's going on with my brother. You know what I mean? But I was in shock. You know, I left out the shop. I went up to a park. It was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I had to grab a beer. I went and grabbed a beer, sat in the park, and just tried to
Makes sense.
see if this, man, is this a dream? I mean, is this really happening? And when I came back, me being a barber, all you have to do when you're a barber, I'm a licensed master barber. All you have to do is go in the shop and show them your license, and you start working. You know, it's no filling out anything. But when I came back, the feds were there and asking me if I could help them figure out where he was going. I looked at them like they was crazy. They tried to offer me some money. I said, man, listen, man, if my brother gets to Florida, I'm going to try to get him to Cuba, so y'all might as well bounce. You know, I don't have really nothing to say to y'all. I mean, what do y'all think? I mean, how would I know what he's doing? And I'm in Florida, and it's 45 minutes after this thing happened. Why are you here? You know, so I was just in shock, and then I had to deal with people all day. I tried to stay at work, and I had to deal with people all day talking about, yeah, they're gonna kill him. He's good as dead, you know. So I'm
shop talk.
right. So I'm mad. So I have to stand up and like, look, man, that's my brother. I'm not trying to hear that. You know, can y'all chill out, or we want, you know, it's gonna be some other problems around.
What
here.
about mom?
Mom, and they were in Tanzania. This is why the reporters were after me. I was the only. It's only 4 of us in our immediate family, and my parents were in Tanzania. I was in Florida. So who's left? Me.
Right.
So I had everybody coming at me, and you know, I have never had to deal with the media, so I really didn't know how to handle it. You know,
you did. That
really,
was a lot.
I mean, it was.
By yourself,
I
like
was
you
by
said.
myself, and I'm talking about. It was the Michael Jackson trial and another high-profile trial going on at that time, and I'm talking about they had at least 15 of those satellite trucks parked in front of my apartment building, knocking on my door, walking through the breezeway of the apartments, you know, putting cards under the door, trying to get me to say something. And I ended up having to go to the Larry King show because one of them quoted me as saying that I didn't want to be known as the brother of a killer, and I never said that. So that's why I ended up going to Larry King. So if Brian heard this, you know, he wouldn't think that we turned on him and we were against him.
Right.
And see, that's another good reason that it's always good to talk to people that know firsthand, because assumptions will have the whole world screwed up.
media.
And the media will have the whole world screwed up.
Yes, it will.
Mark, another question I have for you. How did your brother get a gun in the court building?
Well, I'm gonna be straight up about this. They were stupid as, you know, their whole thing, how they conducted their business in that courtroom was dumb. You know, it's no way. This is how it happened. You got this little lady. She's 50-something years old, maybe 5'2", something like that. You got her escorting Brian, who is 6-something, a black belt in karate. And a couple days before, they found some shanks in his shoes. But you also have her with the keys to a gun box. And the gun box is in the same area where the inmates are walking. So if somebody takes the keys, they got the guns. Brian is smart. He took the keys and he got the guns.
Oh, so he didn't get her weapon. He got the weapons out
of the gun box.
Wow.
He got one gun there, and he got the other gun, I believe, from the immigrations officer. So he had 2 guns. Yeah.
So he had 2 guns. So we were led to believe, or I was led to believe that from the clippings when I first heard it on the news, they were saying that he overpowered the young lady.
Yeah,
and
he
took
did.
her weapon.
No, he didn't take her weapon. He took the keys, and then he went to the gun box and got the guns.
The fact that he knows where the gun box is.
I mean, probably everybody knew, you know.
Right, I mean-
They changed a lot of their protocol after that. You know, a lot of people got fired, but it was just ridiculously dumb to have access to guns in the same area with inmates.
Right, and the keys, everything
And the keys,
right there.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you were asking for trouble sooner or later.
So he didn't. Maybe he did. Maybe you can answer this question. Did he go to court that day saying, "I'm going to kill people," or did it just happen? Did he just realize, okay, the keys are right here, the gun are right here? Do you even know the answer to that question?
I don't know the answer to that question, and I probably never will unless my mother feels that one day he'll be released. Maybe not in her lifetime, but she thinks a miracle is going to happen because I don't talk to Brian about those kinds of things on the phone because I've heard my voice on a conversation that they played over and over in Atlanta of him saying if she's known in my book as TBCIA. It's an acronym for what I call the rape suspect. And he said that if he would have seen her, she would have got it too. So they played that all day in the court. I mean, on TV and on the radio and everything. So when I go to see him, we don't even talk about anything about what happened.
Right.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. I mean, what's done is done.
I guess one of the things that I think a lot of people want to know, because I got this question a lot, what actually caused your brother to snap? And so basically, I think what they're referring to is the situation with the young lady that you spoke about that he was engaged to. So to go from a 9-year relationship and then become engaged and then all of a sudden snap, I'm thinking something occurred that the public may not be aware of with this young lady and him.
Well, you know, I can't give up all the secrets to the book, you know, but I can say that a minister was involved in the reason why he snapped. That, you know,
You said a minister?
a
Like
reverend, minister, pastor, whatever you want to call him. You know, he was part of one of the main reasons that this whole thing started. You know, you can't trust everybody with everything, and that's what I've learned from this situation.
So for those people who say, because this is the other thing that I was getting, your brother's a monster, and your brother should have gotten the death penalty. What do you say to a person who feels that way, preferably people who had loved ones that lost their lives in this situation?
I'm really not going to say nothing because I have a bad temper. And, you know, I'm probably going to end up being in an altercation with that person, you know, even though I understand that if it was one of the relatives, I would understand what they're going through. But I'm not going to engage in that because it's going to get ugly in the end. You know?
Right. So, you know, you have to understand that these people will have those feelings because rightfully so based on the situation.
Right.
And then at the flip side, we do understand that it's other lives is lost as far as your brother. He's lost his life to the penitentiary. No fault of no one else's. Of course, he made a ill decision. But he also has put you guys in the penitentiary with him because family goes to penitentiary with the victim or with the person.
Exactly.
So you guys, you know, how grave has this been for you guys as far as a family?
I mean, for years after this, I really was in seclusion. I really didn't want to talk to too many people. You know, it's when a trial like that happens, I mean, it's really not anybody you can talk to that's been in that situation.
Right.
You know, somebody that you can confide in that can kind of guide you. It's really not. So what I found out is that when you're on trial, everybody's on trial.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I learned things about my family that I probably would have never known if Brian didn't do this. You know, so we just really stay to ourselves about it. We don't really talk to people about it. You know, people know, but I mean, what can you do? I mean, we had nothing to do with it. You know, we were brought into it. You know what I mean? So
I guess if that's your family member, I'm just speaking from how I think I would feel. Even though the situation was horrible, I would think that the love you have for your family member wouldn't change because that's still
not
your
at all.
brother. That's
Not
still
at
your
all.
mother and father's son.
Yeah.
So, well, it's disheartening for the people who were devastated by it and who had their lives lost. But I would guess on your behalf, it's like you really don't want to talk about anything negative or look at your brother in a negative light, even though you understand because you're human and you have common sense. That's still your brother.
Right,
And that's
right.
unconditional love, I would still think.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So let's go back to childhood a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about you guys' childhood. How was you guys' upbringing, and as far as the neighborhood you grew up in, and You know, how were you guys raised? Was it a normal home? Was it projects?
Was it Atlanta? Or
No, it was
here?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
We grew up privileged. You know, it's not a lot of talk about black privilege, but we were privileged. You know, our lights never went off. Christmas was crazy. You know, food always served. You know, we got what we wanted and more. You know, we could have went to any college we wanted to. You know, we had a good childhood. We had a fun childhood, but we were bad as hell. You know, our parents didn't know the things that we were doing. We let them see the All-American, you know, we playing baseball and football, whatever season it is with the sports that's out as far as professional, and we're doing that. But when the lights go off and down in that basement, my mother thought she was the Kool-Aid lady, but we had 64 ounces of private stock down there, and we were smoking. You know, but they didn't know about this.
Right.
And we were just doing all kinds of crazy stuff just because we felt like it. It was never anybody to say, no, this wasn't a good idea. But fortunately, we never got caught.
So it wasn't the parents' upbringing. It wasn't your parents' upbringing.
Nah, they
did the best.
Yeah, they
could.
did. I mean, they couldn't have done any better.
Right.
You know, it was just us.
Like
So,
a lot of kids.
Like,
right,
yeah, like
exactly.
myself, I
Parents,
can
and
speak
you
for
just
that.
do what you want when
Yeah,
your
you
parents
just,
aren't around.
yeah. Just,
So did you feel you influenced your younger brother
I was
to
a
the negative, or do you feel like he just had that path for himself?
No, I was a terrible influence. You know, I was one of the top DJs in the city at that time, and it was all about me. You know, I didn't care about what. I never got a chance to see him in one of his karate matches, in which I wish I would have been able to see him. You know, I really wasn't into what he was doing. I was just into what I was doing, and he was following in my steps, but he didn't want to stay in my steps. That's why he started working on his body and became really an expert in karate.
Right. So that also helped in the situation for him to be able to seduce some people and do some of the things that.
I mean, they shouldn't have had that little grandmother carry. I mean, what could she do?
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't do anything with Brian. I mean, she was too little and too old. You know, that was totally their fault. They should have had more people around them, especially since they had warnings coming in from people calling saying Brian was going to do something, and them finding the shanks in his shoes. You know, but you're still going to put this little old lady in jeopardy. And the bad thing about this is she's still mildly retarded. Now, let me find. She's messed up. She's messed up.
Special needs.
Yeah, she's special needs. There we go. She's
Special
special
needs is the
needs,
word.
and they fired her. She don't even have insurance to take. She can't drive.
Wait a minute. You said the lady who
The sheriff, she
she had
She was
special needs
fired?
at the time.
no,
she was
no,
working
she
out
has
afterwards.
special needs now.
So
Okay.
you're
Right.
saying they fired her?
They
after the
fired her.
situation?
For some reason, I don't know what it is. She got fired, and when she got fired, she don't have any insurance to take care of her damages that were done to her, and she still suffers through today.
Wow.
So,
And
you
it's
know.
so sad because I can't remember. Recently, I was having a conversation with someone. This recently, as in like a few days ago, and I said it's sad that so many people are not proactive. They wait until a tragedy happens, and then they want to everybody jump in there and try to fix it. But you really, if you just pay attention, and like you said, some things are common sense. But a lot of times it takes a tragedy to happen for people to say, oh, we need to do this or we shouldn't do this. But you have the people who are supposed to be so smart and in charge that should know these things before they happen. People really have to get more
But you know
proactive.
what? I got an article that we pulled out the paper last week. The chief of police in Atlanta just passed away, and they had the nerve in his obituary to mention Brian.
Really?
Why
In
would
his
you in his obituary? Why would you even mention Brian's name in his obituary? And they were trying to say that he didn't. They were still mad because he was vacationing in Cancun or something, and when this thing happened with Brian, he didn't come back. This man just passed away. Why are y'all even putting Brian's name with this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, wow,
Well,
y'all.
might be a family member that wrote that obituary.
I don't know who did it. I mean, I've got a copy of it, but I couldn't believe that they did that.
Yeah, your brother. The case. When I read the book, I learned that case was one of the most, if not the most expensive case
right? Yeah.
in the history of Georgia.
They broke the public defender's bank.
Yeah, because
You
I
know.
saw on the clip that they postponed the case for several months based on finances.
Yeah,
They couldn't
yeah, they did.
defend the case.
It's still some people that haven't gotten paid from it.
More than that, Atlanta. Remember the Atlanta guy that was with the children? Remember it was a big case in Atlanta with the gentleman.
Williams.
So it was larger than that.
It was
Yeah,
lar-
they
it was
spent
it-
more money on
it
this
was the
case than
biggest
any case.
manhunt in Georgia's history. At that time, when he got his sentencing, there was no one else in the whole prison system that had more time than him. So it was like, but it is now. But you know, it was like the biggest, and he's like the most notorious inmate that they have. You know, but you couldn't tell it if he calls because he's so calm. You know, but he really just snapped. But the white boy in Savannah, they trying to figure out what happened to him mentally. They taking him to Burger King after they arrest
right
him.
after that.
know
That
what
was
I'm saying?
amazing to me.
What's I mean,
I'm gonna tell you. You talking about the one that was in South Carolina?
yeah.
South
I'm gonna tell you
Oh,
something.
yeah,
about
South
that-
Carolina.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you something about that case that I don't think people paid attention to. This young man that murdered these people in that church came out when they handcuffed him before they took him to Burger King. I don't know if you paid attention, but they put a vest on him.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was for protection, so that no one else could murder this young man. They protected him, and then I see us go out and
And then
commit
took him
like
to Burger
crimes, and we get choked to death and shot to death in the middle of the street. So again, I'm not justifying any homicide or murder. I'm not saying that it's not a horrific situation, but I think that we should weigh things out and the conditioning of where we coming from with the mindset, because a lot of times we fall to a hopeless situation. And I've read the book, so I do understand, Mark. I won't give it away. But I read the book, and I can promise you that if that situation happened to an average person, then it would cause you to have some mental issue as far as what happened to Bryant. I'm not excusing, again, what happened, but I'm telling you that something that I'm aware of in that book that would drive the average man pretty
Well,
much
I
off
think
the
it
cliff.
might drive a woman crazy too.
Yeah, it's a tough situation,
Yeah,
and I
you
know
really
you're not
should get
ready
the
to
book.
elaborate it, but when you get the book, make sure you guys get a copy of the book. Again, it's not to glorify the situation; it's to bring you back and show you from childhood up to now how things went on and what occurred with these two young men's lives. So, do you have any other siblings besides?
No, it's just me and Brian. That's my only brother. And I was kind of surprised when I heard you earlier say that people were wondering why you would bring me on here. I mean, I would never write a book about what he did. You know, it's no reason to write a book about what happened. Everybody knows what happened. I'd only touch on that and briefly in maybe a chapter. You know, it's all about things that were happening in my family at the time, you know, and what we were going through, you know. So there's no way this book is glorifying. I say it several times. Brian knows what he did is wrong. I even say it in the book. This book is not about glorifying what he did or making him some kind of hero. And it kind of trips me out that, you know, it's a lot of people in Atlanta that Brian is a hero. They've had rap songs come out about him and dances come out about him.
That's
you know,
true.
people
That is
want me
very
to
true.
get the book and get it to Brian so he can sign it, which he can never do, and send it back out. But this book is not about that at all.
Yeah, and so I say that repeatedly because, like I say, a lot of people are misguided and jaded in their thinking, in my opinion. And I feel that they feel like anything that gives a platform to it is something that we glorify or something that we stamp. We all know that it was horrendous, but we also know that it's a lot more to this story, and we also know it's bad on both sides.
Yes.
So as you grew up and you guys were getting into it, when did you see a change in Brian, or did you see it coming at all? Did you see any changes, or you were just too busy caught up in Mark?
I saw the change when he got into football. You know, he became more aggressive. You know, he started using his body like it was a weapon. And, you know, he would build his body like it was a weapon. I mean, I couldn't believe the weights that he was pushing, you know. His attitude really changed during them times, and I think it's because of steroid use.
Yeah.
You know, steroid use, yeah, his attitude.
So you know he was taking steroids?
We know he was taking steroids, but he had stopped taking them after a while because he noticed that he was just getting a little too aggressive.
So I noticed in the book as well, you said that he was not evil, but he was like angry. Not that's what you said. He was angry more often than not.
Yeah,
do you know why? Why do you think Brian was so angry growing up?
White people.
He had an issue.
He really didn't, you know.
So was it something that happened to him?
I mean,
that made him feel-
we lived in front of Memorial Stadium. We lived 2 blocks down from Memorial Stadium, and when the folks come out the games, they would come down there loud, peeing on our front lawns, and you know, acting like you know they could do whatever they want. And I think it started from there, him seeing how they were acting. You know, real disrespectful. So I really think it all began from, from that.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the water. So for the water situation, let's clear that up because a lot of things happen, and you guys, again, you have to get the book because there's a lot going on in this book. But you said that you guys live down from like a treatment plant.
Yeah, it's a water filtration plant. It's at the top of a hill. We're like in a valley.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a valley like 30. When you cross 33rd Street, it goes up, and when you go across 35th Street, it goes up. And at the top of 35th Street, it's a water filtration plant. So I kind of think that we were getting the strongest doses. I don't know how they do the chemicals in the water. I don't know if it filters out once it starts spreading out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people have gotten cancer, gone crazy, died for no reason.
Yeah, you told me people were babbling. And
Babbling,
speaking
yeah,
all
man.
out of turn, more than one person.
Like two people. One person started babbling, and after a few months of that, he jumped off the back of a train and killed himself. And he was on his way to be a professional baseball player.
Wow.
Right, so
Then
something's triggering the
something
mind.
is going on. My best friend who's in the book, he didn't smoke, didn't drink anything. He just died from cancer at 30-something. For what? From what?
And you spoke of a 13-year-old.
11. I think he was 11. He blew his head off with a shotgun. Why would you do that?
So all of these are people in your neighborhood.
If you read this book, and it's people that I'm still learning about that have killed themselves or killed somebody, and all of this happened in this little section of maybe a 4-block radius.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's why I brought the water situation up. When you first came on, you mentioned the water. Right. So I wanted people to understand why you mentioned the water, because it seems to have merit at this point. Not to excuse again, but it seems to have merit because it's a lot more tragedy in this young man's neighborhood. We don't even have time. It doesn't permit. But when I say a lot of tragedies happen in that 1 or 2 block radius, I mean a lot of killing, a lot of being killed, a lot of just, like you say, babbling, people just losing their minds, people dying of cancer, not warned. And so, we believe that something was going on, because I know that this is not something just the average person just goes into. Like, it has to be something that drove it.
Something.
Imbalance, what they would call a chemical imbalance or something to that effect. So for this is a question that I definitely wanted to ask. If you had a chance to advise your brother prior to the situation, if he called you on the phone and said, "Mark, man, I can't take it," and woo, 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 what advice would you have given your brother, if any? What would you have said to him to maybe
I'd have told him, man, look, if you didn't do it, just be relaxed. If you didn't go do it, God is going to get you out of this thing. Just you got to relax, man. Don't do nothing crazy. I'd have tried to keep him calm.
Right.
But I couldn't. I wasn't communicating with him during that time.
Right.
Okay.
So
how old was he at that time?
About 35.
35.
It's anywhere between 30 and 35. Yeah.
Can we ask Mark about the young lady he had the 9-year relationship? What was her state after the fact? Like, okay, well, I know I'm taking him to court for this, but this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I wanted to happen.
Really, I don't really like talking about her too tough because she.
That's a tough spot.
When I was in Georgia, I just came back from Georgia, and I didn't even like going in that area. She really. You've been together 9 years. I know no is no. I know no is no, but did you really have to go through all of this? 4 people are dead now. Yeah. You're still living. He didn't kill you. You could have worked it out or something. You know what I mean? 9 years, y'all been having sex for 9 years.
Oh, so they were together at the time that this happened?
Yes.
Right.
They were. That's
They were
on
the outs though. They were together, but a little on the outs. She was trying to break it off, and Brian was trying to keep it together. So I just feel as though, man, she could have taken a different direction. But I do understand that no is no, and if that's how you wanted to do it.
The mother of his child?
No, that's not. And that was, I think, one of the reasons why she took it that far, because he cheated on her and got somebody else pregnant. You know, they say a woman scorned, you know.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I can testify to that
Right.
one right there. Got you. So yeah, definitely that. And so, Dana, you wanna wrap up with a few of those questions?
Well, I mean, we actually touched on a lot of it.
Yeah, we did. So I'm
kind of like lost for words because
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm compassionate for the people that it happened to, but I have compassion sitting right beside him because, like he said in the beginning, it's not his fault. And
Right.
I know you probably have talked about this so many times, and it's your
Right.
brother. I know you get to the point where like, can we just move on? But I just want to say thank you for even coming. To
Yeah,
just
I
talk to us.
appreciate
And,
y'all having me.
Yeah.
Your book, the book, you guys need to definitely get it, and it's way bigger than just the tragedy that people were
incident.
talking about. Yeah, it's way
Right.
bigger than that.
Yeah, these gentlemen actually had a life prior to. And so before we go, if you could see Bryant prior to this incident, let's X out the incident today. It didn't happen. Where do you see him today? Where would you see Bryant today? What would he be doing?
Well, you know, he was an engineer at Hewlett Packard. Brian was making some money. You know, he was living real comfortable. You know, he would be chilling, you know.
So this wasn't some destitute young man that's
No,
strung out on
uh-uh.
drugs
Nope.
and just a heroin addict and just crazy and just doing. This was a young man who actually had a life.
Right, exactly.
And so
And
this
an
is
engineer?
and he was
Wow.
an engineer. So he went to college.
Went to college. He was playing football in college.
Yeah, see, these are the stories we haven't heard. Like,
We don't know that.
you know,
side.
this is the side why I want people to get the book. Not only for Brian, for Mark as well. He also has a story to tell, and he's not just telling a story about his brother. He's telling a story about their lives. Like, so you guys, if you could, you want to tell them where they could pick up a copy of your book?
Well, if you go to Amazon and type my name in, Mark Nichols, the book will come up. It's the Nichols Brothers, Suburbia to Destruction. I'm 5 stars on Amazon right now. And I also have the soft copies. If you hit me up on my Facebook, the Nichols Brothers, and I can get you one shipped out to you.
Got you. So I'm looking forward to my copy.
Mine too.
Hint, hint. And so, yeah, but no, I have it. Actually, I have it on Kindle. You can download it as well, correct?
Yes, you can. You can download it. It's in ebook form.
Got you. So if they go on Amazon, then they'll see where to download the
Yes,
ebook.
yes. As soon as you type my name in, the first one that comes up on that list will be my book. You'll see this picture here.
And it's about 200 plus pages. Am I correct?
It's about 284, I think. I believe it's 284.
Yeah, but it's an easy read. I noticed how you go back and forth a little bit in the book, but then I was able to capture what you were doing because I saw how you would say, hold on to that, and then you
Yeah.
would bring that character back into play later
Right.
on during the book. And so you had some crazy friends, by the way.
Oh, we was all man. We was nuts,
guys
man.
were
We
nutty.
were nuts. I mean, for no reason, but it was fun.
I know the feeling. I remember growing up. I had both sides. I grew up in Baltimore part-time before I came back on the DMV
Did
side.
you say part-time?
Yeah, I was young. And so I remember having crazy experiences. I remember us hopping the train. Remember the trains used to come 4th of July. We used to hop on there and take the fireworks off the train. And I remember my friend hanging off by his pants, almost got his leg cut off. So, I mean, those are the things that we call fun. And until that wreck was put in that neighborhood, we had no fun. We had nothing to do. So I'm assuming, based on where I know you guys were, it wasn't no wrecks around the way.
Man,
It
no.
wasn't none of that at that time.
No,
and
actually,
so we just got in trouble.
Actually, it was. We had wrecks.
So you
The
guys
basket.
had that.
We had basketball courts, football fields, the Lake Montebello. We had all of that. We just wanted to do other stuff.
Boys just being bad.
Yeah, we were just being bad for no reason.
Being boys.
That's it. That's
So,
it.
boys.
Yeah.
On that note, before we go to it, we gotta wrap it up. But I just want to say, for everybody who has those thoughts, I know some people are in tough situations right today, and you're contemplating, like, you know what, I can't take this. I'm gonna do whoop whoop whoop. Think. Always say
Yes.
this: the juice has to be worth the squeeze. The juice has to be worth the squeeze. In other words, it's consequences to everything, and it doesn't mean that in our right state we're gonna make the right consequences, the right decisions. I'm sorry. So if you stop for a minute, breathe a little bit, take it in, and just think, then it just might save you a lifetime in prison. It might just save you
Might save your
from
life.
someone else's life being taken. And I don't know how much is worth taking a person's life. It's tough, but when you're not in the right state, it can happen. And so that's why I would advise everyone out there that's listening to just sit back for a minute, breathe easy, think about your decisions before you do it. Make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. And on that note, before we wrap it up, give your information, anything that you want to tell about Mark Nichols, where they can find you, where they can contact you, your Facebook, your Twitter, your whatever you have.
Okay, I can be contacted on Instagram at the Nichols Brothers. On Twitter, it's Mark_Nichols_. My Facebook is the Nichols Brothers. And if you need to email me, you can email me at the nicholsbrothers@yahoo.com. And I can get a book to you.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick, piggybacking on what you just said, Stan. I think it's another thing that's important for people to know.
Oh, we have to wrap it up.
Okay, real quick. I think you always have to make sure that you don't play with people's emotions because people snap. So sometimes when you're being reckless on your end, think twice.
Think twice because
Really,
it's consequences.
because,
You got to know
people
that.
Snap, exactly.
And so on that note, you guys, thank you, Lyric. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Guest Mark, for
Spotlight
coming
over the
on.
city. We appreciate
love you
you,
guys.
Mark.
Thanks for all the
Thank you. Thanks for
viewership.
tuning
We had a
in,
great
guys.
show. Thanks for tuning in. And on that note, love hard, live good.
Spotlight over the
God
city. We'll be back next
first.
week.
Spotlight over the city.
I put the spotlight on your city.